you hate the thought of working past 55 or 60? Do you hate not being able to live the life you deserve today? Do you hate not knowing what your financial future looks like? It's time to stop doing what you hate. Here's your host, Mr. Harold Green.
Hello, everybody. This is Harold Green of Bright Tree Wealth Management, and it is time to stop doing what you hate. Hopefully, you are having a fantastic day. I'm doing pretty good. I got the show that I've been thinking about probably for the last 3 or 4 days, and I'll get into it in a second. But it's a very important show. It's a very critical show, and I believe in this show is going to be the answer to a lot of the retirement problems that people are going to have in the future. But first, I want to talk a little bit about my week. Just got back from Hawaii a little while ago, seeing clients over there and being back in the island. And it's always a unique experience when I get to go back. And as I was talking to someone this morning very early out at Starbucks, I told them, every time I go back to Hawaii, it's different. And not different in that the island has changed, because nothing really has changed. They're still beautiful. The people are still kind. It is still just a very, very wonderful place. But it made me realize why I moved to Nevada, Las Vegas in the first place. And it just makes me have an appreciation for the decisions that I've made and all the things that I've gone through in my life. And so I'm very grateful for that. I'm very blessed for that. But today I want to talk to you about something that it's a big issue. And the title of today's show is Making Up Retirement Funding Shortfalls. And basically, again, we're back at the 97.3 thing all over again, which means 97% of the people in our country, they're not going to retire with enough to live on for the rest of their entire lives. And so I'm going to get into this. And here's my thing. If you're listening to the show and you've been listening to me for a while, I'm not sure I'm taking on a lot more clients at this point. Okay. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to share this show with as many people as you can. And if they decide to call me for a conversation, I will take that phone call with them, but there's no guarantee that I will take them on as a client. But I will take the phone call. I will talk to them for a set period of time. If I take them on, I take them on. If I don't, I'll tell them exactly what they need to do. And when they are ready, then they can reach out to me again. So are you ready? 1, 2, 3, let's get it. No, many people retire with less than the ideal amount desired. That is no joke. No real reason for me to rehash all the negative reasons why people don't have enough. And I've talked about that a lot. You guys can go back and listen to some of my other shows, but it's insane. But one thing I will say is this: no matter what, the main reason is they needed an improved investment strategy, but had no idea how to find one. And if they did find one, guess what? They were too afraid to implement it. And I'm going to give you the answer to how to overcome that at the end of this show. Stay tuned. Now, here's the thing about these ideas that was presented to them. The one that they most likely implemented was the one that was easiest to understand, easiest to follow along with. And again, it goes back to the theme of following the path of the least resistance. And I told you guys this before. When you follow the path of least resistance, there's not much at the end, because there are many people on that path and they scavenge and eat up anything they can find. So do not take the path of least resistance if you don't want to be in the 97%. Now, I can say these things because I've worked with people who've had to leave the workforce years ago with, less than the amount that the experts say you need to sustain a decent life. Now, I'm going to start throwing some stats at you like crazy. But before I do that, this is going to be an investment show. Investments do carry risk of loss, and past performance is no indicator of future results. Before you make any financial decisions on what to buy or sell, make sure you do your due diligence, understand your time horizon, and then understand your risk tolerance, and make sure whatever you do is done within a well-balanced, comprehensive financial plan that has a built-in investment strategy that is going to perform the way you need it to perform and to meet all of your needs. Do not act on, do not trade on anything that I say in the show, because what I'm saying in the show is for educational purposes only. But at the end of my shows, if you feel that what I'm presenting to you makes sense, you can give me a call and then we'll have a conversation about it. But don't just say, well, Harold said I should be doing this. Harold, no, you're not a client yet. Now, if you are a client, then yeah, we are doing these things. Okay. You don't have to worry about that. We're doing them. But if you're not, don't start acting on these things and then say, well, Harold said do this. No, I'm not going to tell you what to do in these shows. I'm just giving you statistics. And you fit one of these statistics and you don't want to be one of the bad ones anyway, look me up, call me up. Now, there's roughly 81 million Americans in the United States, age 50 to 69. That's a lot of people. And the average amount saved for retirement by every single family in the United States is about $300,000 to $330,000. And only about 400,000 Americans have at least $1 million saved in retirement savings. And as I did some research, I found this these words like insecurity, food deserts, financial insecurity, all of these terms that I find out there. But the financial insecurity one is interesting because it says 80% of Americans are financially struggling or at risk of falling into economic insecurity. And 45% of households are at risk of running out of savings in retirement. Like this is insane. Remember I told you like 97.3? Well, 80%, I'm sure it's a lot worse than 80%. And then the other thing is inflation. And it said that 1/3 of 55-year-olds and 43% of 65-year-olds have postponed retirement due to inflation and higher living costs. Like this should not be, right? But it is. So how much do you really need to retire and not come up short and fall into the 97%? Well, the number being thrown around out there is about $2 million. And my question is that even necessary? Is that even achievable? And as I stated before, I think we're headed into a retirement crisis. We're already in a retirement crisis. And the only thing that's going to save some people, to be honest with you, is inheritance money if they're lucky enough. And I want to talk about the inheritance thing because I think that's kind of like, I don't know, that's a sticky one. And according to the Federal Reserve, the average inheritance in the United States is about $46,000. Now, 46 G's, like how long is that going to last you in retirement? Depending on your lifestyle, you might burn that up in like 2 weeks. Who knows? And because this is important, these are some interesting stats. The top 1% of people out there is going to get about $1 million or 719,000 to be exact. The next 9% is 174,000K. And the next 40% is 45,900, which is about the average in the United States. And the bottom 50% is going to get like 9,700. But most people in our country, they're not going to get nothing at all. You're going to get nothing and you will like it. Just kidding. No, some parents have said, I'm not leaving you anything. I paid for tuition. I paid for all these things. I've given you down payments on a house. Don't expect me to give you nothing when we die. If you get anything, just consider yourself lucky. And, I talk to my clients and I say, you make sure you talk to your kids like that, because if they're sitting out there thinking, I'm going to get the house, I'm going to get this and it's going to be tough. And I met a great deal of people think that they don't need to save much because they think they're going to get something from their parents someday. And to me, this is kind of foolish because you don't know how that money is going to come to you. You don't know what you're going to get. And I'm just going to give you a scenario, and I'm not talking about any particular person or family in particular, but this is just kind of something that I've seen. And let's just say your parents have about $3 million in assets. You won't know that. Okay. The house is worth about $2 million if they live out in California or Hawaii or somewhere like that. And the IRAs are worth about $1 million. And your brother and his wife, they moved back home years ago, and his wife stays at home. She raises the kids and she kind of takes care of your parents because they're getting older. Okay. And when they met with the attorney, they wanted your brother to get the house and you to get the IRAs, but you didn't know that. Okay. And so for some reason, you were led to believe that everything would be split 50-50 down the middle, and that your brother would buy you out of the house if he wanted the house or vice versa. And so, but when your parents passed away, what was left of the IRA was about $650,000 due to, like, say, your mom living longer and then having to take the required minimum distributions. She might have taken money out to help pay for tuition or whatever, because your brother was living there and she liked his wife. And so, I've seen some interesting things. And so you get $650,000, and based on the rules, now you have 10 years to disperse that $650,000. You're still working. You have a combined household income with you and your wife, but $125,000, not a lot, but it's good. And you got about 10 years before you can retire. And between you and your wife, you guys have about $350,000 saved. And that's pretty much about it. Now, with this, you can go a couple of different ways here, which I really don't want to get into it. But the bottom line is if you only have $350,000 saved for retirement, unless you change your investment strategy, the inheritance will do little to help you unless the money was in Roth IRAs. And most inheritance IRAs will not be Roth IRAs due to a lot of seniors not wanting to pay the taxes to convert them. But in this situation, like, how do you go tell your parents to make sure they're converting the IRAs to Roth so that whatever you think you're going to get or your brother's going to get won't hurt your retirement prospects and cause massive tax issues? And it's a tough conversation, but it needs to be had. And the thing is your brother got the house worth $2 million. There's no, it goes to him. As a matter of fact, your parents transferred to him while they're still alive. So therefore, he doesn't have to worry about any taxes. But now you're sitting here and you got to pay the taxes. And now you got a sticky situation because now mom and dad is gone and you and your brother are there. And now you're like, did you cook this up? I mean, like, why did mom and dad give you the house? How come I didn't get the house? And it can cause a lot of sticky family issues. And I've seen some things like that before. It's a tough conversation, but it needs to be had. So I talk to my senior clients and I say, look, make sure you have these things lined up in your trust and make sure you understand how your kids are going to react when you're gone so that you don't cause massive issues between them after you're not here. Okay. There's ways to make your estate fair if you're going to give something to your kids. There's ways to make it fair. And that's what we want to do. Now, I want to move on to making up the retirement shortfalls, but I had to hit on that inheritance thing because I've seen people these days that just have a lack of effort and a lack of will to make massive impacts in society and get rewarded for it because it's tough and they're scared. But I want to talk about these retirement shortfalls, and there's going to be a lot of them. So I was doing research and I came across like these calculators online. I have my own, but I just want to talk to you folks from, say, if I was a regular person just sitting out there trying to figure out what to do for retirement and I didn't have anybody to talk to. So I'm going online and here's what I'm finding. So I punch in, I'm age 55. My income is 75,000 pre-tax. I got about 300,000 in my 401k because I'm an engineer and I've been kind of putting away and stuff like that. My contribution is 6% of my salary annually. And my retirement income needs are, say, 60,000 per year from age 67 to 95. That's how long my life expectancy is. But current rate of return is 6%. And then the post-retirement rate of return is only 5%. And inflation is 4%. Now, according to this thing, the retirement pot need is about 1.8 million. And the amount you're going to end up with is about 715,252. That's a shortfall of like 1.4 million. And based on this scenario, what do you think the main problem here is? The current rate of return is too low? Post-retirement rate of return is too low? Your tax bracket may be a lot higher than anticipated, maybe? Inflation has to be calculated at a much higher rate due to cost of insurance and other transportation costs. Remember, 80% of the people that are retired are struggling to keep up with these high costs. These are not something that they factored in to their overall situation. Okay. And here's what I'm going to share with you. And I don't want you to throw me under the bus for this, because if you do, it's going to be to your own peril. We have a deficit of over 35 trillion in this country. We are now paying 1 trillion in interest every single year just to service that debt. The people that are promising you things to get elected, if they get elected, they're going to drive up these costs even higher. That's going to cause inflation. What do you think is going to happen? This retirement crisis is going to get even worse. Sure, your party won the election, but how much damage are they going to do to your financial future? You got to kind of think about this. Think about who you're voting for before you vote. And don't throw me under the bus for this, okay? If you are a conservative person and you're investing in an environment that you're not going to get that good of a return, but your costs are going through the roof, you got to kind of think about that. And this is what I've seen from a lot of people. I'm not being political because I believe that I have my feelings, but as a professional, I must be apolitical. It doesn't matter to me as a professional. It does not matter to me as a professional. To me and my money, it doesn't matter who the president of the United States is. To me and my money. Why? Because we are in an investment strategy that is very, very flexible. It can be changed at a drop of a hat where it's not rigid. So if one gets in, we make adjustments. If another gets in, we make adjustments. We have to make adjustments. And if we're sitting here being biased and we're just being emotional, we're going to get screwed. And this is what happens to the 97%. You don't want that. Now, after looking at this whole thing, this is very simple to me. You're going to need 11% on average until you're 67 years of age from now. You're going to need about 10% after you retire, okay, until age 95 or death. This means you're going to have to change your tolerance from being conservative to aggressive for like a large portion of your retirement funds. But here's the problem. You've been conservative your entire life. You was born conservative, raised conservative, and you have conservative values and, you believe certain things and, You just kind of go your way and you invest the way you want without thinking too much about it, but you are risk averse and things like that. And so when the S&P averaged about 7% adjusted for inflation over the last 20 years, like you're getting 5% in your 401k adjusted for inflation. The question is how are you going to make up that shortfall? And what adjustment are you going to make in order to make up that shortfall? And I think this is a challenge that a lot of people don't have the answer to because they don't know how to deal with the ups and downs of the market in order to get the returns they need to retire or even stay retired. And what you're going to need is an actual comprehensive plan that takes everything into consideration. And for me, that's why I created the Rapid Retire financial planning process. It's cash flow management, cash reserve systems, income generation. And I'm going to spell these out for you. Real simple. Cash flow management, it allows you to see where the holes are in your outflows and help you figure out how to lower your cost to live the life you want. You don't have to struggle to have nice things. You just have to figure out how to make your money work harder to allow you to have these things. I call that living life today, living a great life today, but yet saving and investing responsibly for tomorrow, like taking control of your destiny, taking control of your future. It's in your hands. Cash reserve system. That's going to allow you to take the money you save from cash flow management and then build up the proper reserve fund so that when it's called upon, it can be used to help you fund your lifestyle, increase the amount you invest towards retirement, and then help cover any big ticket item that just pops up and that throws you for a loop. And I'm gonna be honest with you, like I had to put out quite a bit of money here recently for something that was not expected. So we got back to Hawaii, and a week into it, our electrical system started going on the blink. Call the building management, and I said, "Hey, yo, what's going on here?" And they said, seems like it's your problem. You have to call an electrician." So we called an electrician. He came out, checked out our unit. It wasn't our unit. It was the meter downstairs where power comes into the main building and feeds into your meter and then goes to your apartment. And one of the brackets had just like corroded out because it seems like they did a bad job of installing the equipment and ours was kind of out of whack. I had no idea that I knew this room existed, but I didn't know what was in it. I thought it was just like an electrical room, and we don't have a key to it. It's ran by the management, the team on site, and the workers who take care of the maintenance on site. Long story short, $4,000 just to fix a bracket. Okay. And because it was over the holiday weekend, we had to stay in hotels, another $2,000. So I'm out of $6,000 in one weekend. And then when I get back here to Vegas, I get some kind of assessment bill in the mail for $12,000. Right. It's just like boom, 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 boom. But one of the things that God reminded me of was this is why you work hard. It's not just for today and for here and now. It's for the unseen and the future, because there are some things that you just can't see. That's why you need a cash reserve system to handle these things that come up. Income generation is an investment strategy that I believe allows you to take advantage of the big run-ups in the market and then dial things back when it's really necessary. You don't have to stay going 100 all the time. The problem here is this strategy has a high risk appetite, right, for growth. It's high risk. You can be down 20% in one quarter, but up 100% for the next 3. Most retirement savers out there can't handle this and are told that they shouldn't be invested this way. You guys are retired. You're retired. You should be getting 5% in bonds and things like that. 80% of Americans are struggling, and this is what they're being told. Why? Here's the answer. Here's what you're going to need. The first thing you need is risk tolerance education. Risk tolerance education. And I think that most investment advisors do not understand how to properly educate their clients so that they understand the tolerance needed in order to have the amount of retirement funds necessary for a great retirement life and not end up in the 97%. You know what's going on here? I'm going to be very honest with you. I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus, but here's what's happening. A lot of guys say, you don't have a minimum of so much money. Boom, I'm not dealing with you. You're a waste of time. You're gonna be a loser anyway. So you're not gonna mess up my firm or my strategy, like trying to tell me what to do. And you don't have money anyway. Like, I don't want to work with you. You're just gonna be a headache or a pain in the tail. So go find somebody else to work with. And compliance, for the most part, agrees with that. Okay. And it's very tough because the average person doesn't have $500,000. Now, I increased my minimum to $500,000 just due to the fact that I can't work with everybody. Okay. And the people that I work with the best they have X number of dollars, and the people that I've worked with the worst have X number of dollars. So I know who they are. But just because you don't have my minimum does not mean I'm not willing to talk to you and then see if there's a match there that maybe I will take you on. Maybe you are the right kind of person. You just don't have the 500,000. I don't know. We're going to have to go through the psychological thing and figure this thing out. And here's what I think is happening here. A lot of guys don't do this for you because they don't communicate too well. This type of high risk, moderate risk, low risk portfolio type of strategy involves constant communication. You have to constantly be telling your clients what's going on. And when a team gets on the field to play, they have coaches for every single position. And for us, like we like to coach our clients through every single phase of the investment strategy, cash flow strategies, cash reserve strategies. We like to coach you through everything. We build a financial plan first, and then we coach you how to run it. Okay. That's what we do. And if you think you'll be short in retirement, you got to act on what I'm telling you now. And the other thing that may be needed or that would be needed or that could be mandatorily needed is a licensed therapist. And I just talked to my clients about this the other day. Okay. And a lot of times when they're going through something and they call me and they say, hey, I don't like losing money, and I'm, this is going on, that's going on. And what I'm finding out is that it has nothing to do with the stock market. It has everything to do about all the anxiety that they have going on in their day-to-day lives. A lot of people are going through a lot of stuff. They're being hit real hard on a lot of different sides with a lot of different things. And that just boils over into the finances. And then we look at the market down 200 points, 1,000 points, and they see their portfolio down 15% in a week because of something happens that's just crazy in the market. They just lose it. It just piles on. And I tell them, I think you need to go see somebody because this is not about the investment strategy. This is about you and your life. And so I was doing some research on this the other day, and I came across this article, and it's about, I think it's from Psychology Today, and the title was Risk Aversion and the Roots of Anxiety. And what caught my attention was a statement that it made, or several statements that it made. And here are the three key points. It said, and I'm going to quote these, and you can go check out the article yourself. But much of decision making consists of evaluating risk and being sensible about when to be mindful of or discount potential losses. This is what I'm hired to do. This is what I'm trained to do. This is what I'm hired to do. And this is what I'm trained to do. I can't have anxiety in my life spilling over into how I manage your portfolio. If I have garbage going on in my life, I got to deal with that before I sit down at this desk and start making trades and looking at your future. I can't be the blind leading the blind. Here's another one. People with anxiety disorders tend to avoid potential bad outcomes and be willing to surrender possible good results. Imagine if I did that in your portfolio. I mean, we're not going to get anywhere. Treating anxiety with cognitive behavioral therapy may help a person with anxiety be more risk-taking. I can't have anxiety. Okay. I have ways of dealing with the things that I go through. I have ways of dealing with those things. I have therapeutic mental things that I do to help me overcome being scared, or help me overcome being like afraid of stuff, or help me overcome when something happens bad in the market and it just wipes out a big chunk when we were thinking this thing is supposed to go up, but the exact opposite happens. I go into recovery mode at that point. Okay, how do we recover? What steps do we take? You always keep fighting, but if you have anxiety, you get backed into a corner. You don't want to do anything. You're scared. And if you're not in the right investment strategy, or you have the right person to manage it, this can be dangerous. I'm going to give you an example. So you get the therapy and you build up your risk tolerance so high that the only thing you want to hold is Bitcoin. Harold, I got it. I'm good. I'm like mad risky now. Mad risky. So let's go get some Bitcoin. And I'm like, that's silly. You can have some Bitcoin, maybe. A portion of your portfolio can be held in Bitcoin, maybe. A small amount, maybe, because it's not a proven investment strategy. Okay. This is not a well-balanced, comprehensive financial plan with a built-in investment strategy. It's like going to Vegas and, putting money in a slot machine. I believe someday Bitcoin will be worth a lot, but not today. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time. But what if you retire and Bitcoin hasn't reached $1 million yet per Bitcoin? What happens then? Then you're stuck. You'd be like the other 80% trying to struggle to get through things, right? Now, the best way to handle this is to call my office, and I'm going to give you guys our number, 808-521-4401. And you can schedule a call with me and explain your situation. And then I'm going to let you know if I can coach you in the rapid retire financial planning process. And then you can go from there. And the reason why I say that is because some people cannot be coached. They think they know everything. They got it all figured out. And to me, I don't want to do that. A lot of people, they think they know exactly what I'm going to say, so they don't even have the conversation. They won't even take the 15 to 30 minutes out of their day to do that. And to me, the retirement crisis that's coming is avoidable for some. But however, if they don't, if you don't take the necessary time to figure this thing out, you could be working another 10, 15 years unnecessarily. So it's going to be totally up to you what you do with this. But I want you to call me, get on my schedule. If you're already a client, I want you to share this show because a lot of people are going to need help. A lot of people right now already need help. Okay. A lot of people right now are already on public assistance and different things like that. I don't know who I was talking to the other day or what research I came across, but I'm telling you, it's scary. And they were talking about a large portion of people that are going to be retiring in the future are going to need public assistance. And public assistance is going to come from the taxpayers. We're already at 35, 36 trillion right now. In the next 20 years, how do we sustain 40 trillion? How do we sustain 50 trillion of spending? How do we do that? Our country cannot survive like that. The young people are getting tapped out. They're not having kids. They won't have kids. They can't buy a house. I'm telling you, this is getting worse. But I'm telling you also, you don't have to be in that court of people that are suffering because all of these decisions. You're going to have to take control of your situation and you're going to have to take action. So thank you for listening into the show. If you fit the script, call me, get on the schedule. And until next time, everybody, 1, 2, 3, let's get it.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.